Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you for joining us today. I am joined today by my aquatic friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone. Aquatic. I like that.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include If Beale Street Could Talk, Trolls Band Together, Brother Bear, The Holdovers, and the very first Godzilla from 1954. And remember, you can write into our Patreon to ask questions, make suggestions, comments, concerns. And while you're at it, leave nice reviews, likes, comments. But today we are discussing the biggest surprise of the year, probably, I would say.
Yes.
Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla -1, the brand new Godzilla film. Like you might have learned in our most recent episode, we are both Godzilla fans for different reasons. Or at least originally. They might converge here and there.
Yeah, it seems like you were a Godzilla fan way before I was.
But you could also say I stopped being a Godzilla fan just as fast. So, because you like what they ran with for the most part.
Yeah.
And I
didn't.
Because I like some of it, but I'm really not a fan in particular. And then Shin Godzilla comes out, not too long ago. I'm like, okay. I know there's a couple others that lean into the politics of a Godzilla film or a character study in a Godzilla film, especially some of the older Japanese ones, but I haven't seen all of them. I've only mostly seen the Fighting Monster series in the 60s and 70s, and the recent ones, which they are just what they are. So, but knowing you are a fan of the Godzilla films, just like the coming up Planet of the Apes movies, I'll be very excited to go see that with you at theaters.
Me too.
And so I was excited to see this with you at theaters because of how you appreciate Godzilla. But after the initial reception, I was just like, excuse me? This movie's really good, apparently. I, of course, was not going to let the hype get to me. But I'm happy to report that Godzilla -1 might have been the best cinematic experiences of my life.
Whoa, of your life?
Well, especially at the theater, yeah.
Oh my
Hands
gosh.
down, the best theater experience.
That's a very bold statement. I don't know if I could even say that.
How do you feel about the brand new Godzilla?
I mean, of course, I absolutely loved it. Everything from the story to cinematography to the soundtrack, the score, to the performances, the characters, I mean, even the lighting, to Godzilla, the man himself. It was awesome. I could not find one bad thing I didn't like about this movie. Even the pacing, which there tends to be a problem with pacing. Maybe not on the length, but maybe how much Godzilla we actually see. And oh my god, we got so much Godzilla. I loved it.
It probably helps that somehow they figured out how to make Godzilla scary. So he lingers in the back of your mind. He's not this thing you're looking forward to. He's almost this thing you want to look away from. And I can't believe they were, I don't know, ballsy enough to introduce Godzilla with a jump scare at the very beginning.
They did introduce him with a jump scare. That completely changes the mood of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, compared to the classic when he's peeping over the mountain. Oh, derpy looking.
He's borderline cute.
Yes, you're right. Because you see the like weird ass looking fish float up, and you're like, what is that? And, you know, our main character here is just kind of staring at the fish, and boom, there's your. I mean, he doesn't even look like Godzilla at first.
No, he's like hunched over and weird looking,
Yes.
not nearly as big.
And kind of dinosaurish, lizardish, which, I mean, yeah, Godzilla is that anyway, but it doesn't scream Godzilla. And he's small compared to what we have previously been seeing. So he's weird.
I would have never guessed making Godzilla small would have been the answer to making him scary again, maybe. Was he ever scary? Was he scary in the first one? Not
No.
so, but it's sort of just a somber film like we talked about. This takes somber and makes it unsettling.
Yeah, in the first film, he was just a symbol. He himself did not look terrifying. The idea of him was terrifying, but not him. Not his physical self.
Yeah.
But here, oh my god, he looked terrifying. He looked phenomenal. He was the epitome of mass destruction on screen. He looked awesome. And I am so fucking glad that they did this, that this movie came out. I guess since we're already on the topic, did it kind of give you Super Saiyan Goku vibes with him? Every time he got destroyed, he got bigger or more powerful? Or was that just me? Also, when he was, you know, charging up to do his heat laser attack, it kind of felt like Goku screaming and turning yellow and charging up.
Yeah, there's certainly an anime element here that takes some of the best hyper melodrama out of the anime into something that's a little more character driven, a little bit more dramatic, I guess I should say, because a proper dramatic, not dramatic like anime. Anime is soap opera dramatic, right? So it's hard to not see that, but I also can't help but to believe that it reminds me of older Godzilla films too, because there's this element in the older films too of what doesn't kill him makes him stronger too. And so I think after you see some of those, you'll be hard pressed to not see, oh, this is where anime gets half their tropes out of the Godzilla series.
It's the other way around.
Yes and no. I'm sure it's coming full circle, really. I think it's taking the best out of what anime kind of made their own too. So absolutely, and it's very, very cool in that way.
Yeah, I mean, the way I think this might be my favorite element they did with Godzilla when he was charging up, how his spikes would just kind of pop out of his skin. Oh my god, that was so cool. I can't get over how cool that was. And you would just see him from the tip of his tail to the top of his...
It was awesome.
Hunched back. Boom, boom, boom. Oh my god, it was so cool.
Awesome. One of the coolest things I've ever seen out of a movie that has anything that's just like a spectacle. And then not to mention when he blasts his heat wave out, his heat ray, it destroys some of him.
Oh my god, yes. He hurts himself.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't even like shit like that, you know? It's like there's like an element of risk within Godzilla doing this to himself. It feels like it's hurting him.
It is hurting him. We see it. Smoke coming from his mouth and the rawness of his skin afterward. And the fact that he can't just keep doing that attack. He has to heal himself to do it again. But then the next one's going to be stronger. Oh my god, it's so fucking cool.
Yep.
I know you have a very special place in your heart for CGI. How was Godzilla here? I'm assuming he's CG'd, right? I mean...
Yeah.
Of course. I know he looked Yeah, I mean, he looked phenomenal to me.
I think this Godzilla and his shenanigans might be my favorite CG of any movie ever made.
Wow.
And I know Japan suffers from bad CG. They have a tendency to just not give it the attention, I guess, that it's needed. Maybe because the budget's just not there. I'm not sure. The talent's definitely there. You can see that in the force of video games they make. And we've kind of hit some peaks here in the United States with CG. You know, we've had some high points with, I would say, Planet of the Apes and maybe some parts of Avatar and even some Star Wars and stuff. But a lot of our like high-end CG kind of looks bad.
Like Transformers?
Yeah, Transformers is an especially kind of bad one. But a lot of it is like almost CG porn where it just starts to look like a watercolor and there's just no depth to anything. There's nothing. Everything gets lost in itself and it's just ugly, right? And I mean, I have no idea what all was CG here. I'm sure all the water or a lot of the water was CG and the buildings and Godzilla. I really don't even know. I haven't looked too much into it. Obviously, all the destruction and whatnot.
Yep.
But it was so, I don't know, maybe it was so not the point that it didn't really matter if it wasn't as good. I can't even really tell you. But the experience mixed in with the visuals is just unlike anything.
Yeah, I just know you have a tendency to be more, or let me say, you have a better eye for bad CG or especially good CG than I do. And I know he looked friggin' awesome to me, so I was just curious.
I guess I feel like I have an eye for washed out CG. Just like Guardians of the Galaxy suffers from that because all of it takes place in space. Good. And so like, it does look good, especially the third one, but there's, I guess, a tendency in Marvel, especially post, like when they start entering space and like have, that era of Marvel, there's this tendency for everything to be vibrant and just ugly. Okay. Funny enough, it's just because everything just looks the same. Nothing has depth. Nothing has any kind of sense of naturalism, I guess. So that's one reason I like the Ape movies so much, or at least their CG, because there's a weird beauty there. Does it look better? That may be kind of up to the viewer in some way, but there is an element of naturalism that just walks all over anything Marvel's ever done in the Ape movies.
Yeah.
And in the first Star Wars of the sequel trilogy, Force Awakens, I think it is, it's got some of that nice CG in it, and it kind of starts to lose it, I feel like, too, in a similar way as Marvel. But I don't know if it's an art style or just the way they capture Godzilla and his destruction, but it's awesome. I mean, it's so easily my favorite so-called CG film now. It's awesome.
So it might be jumping ahead a little bit here. In the end, when he gets destroyed, we kind of get a sneak peek that he might be returning. Does that mean he's going to come back bigger than ever before?
Maybe, yeah.
Is that what we're going to see here?
Bigger than ever before? Bigger than the current American Godzilla?
Yeah, I mean...
No way.
How much did he change from when our main guy here saw him on the at the Odo Island versus when he came out the first time?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. That was what, a year? So I guess it all depends on when the maybe next film takes place, but...
Yeah, I hope there isn't a next film. I hope that was it.
No, I hope there's a next film. Please don't listen to him.
Because I hope that's just this, kind of like what we got in the first film, which we get a lot of homages to, of course. Yeah. It's arguably a remake, or a reimagining in some capacity from a different perspective. But it's this reminder that you don't get to kill your demons. They live within you forever, and you can only ever suppress them. But it's making a lot of money. So there definitely could be another.
Look, I wouldn't be mad if they make another.
I wouldn't either, because based off of how our main character went about his arc, I could see a sequel.
Especially with the girl. and that kind of weird thing we saw on her neck. It could have just been radiation, I guess, spreading, but
Yeah, I guess I was gonna say I could see the sequel being the effects of Godzilla,
mm.
kind of like a echo of the atomic bombs happening.
Oh man, they could make that film so morbid.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome.
And I dare say Godzilla may not even be part of it very much.
And that'd be
cool.
That'd be cool. I mean, of course, I would want a Godzilla. I could watch a Godzilla movie of him just charging up and destroying shit, maybe for a solid hour, and not be bored by it. So maybe I'm kind of biased here. Yeah, but a super morbid, just so fucking sad of the aftermath would be cool.
And I guess that would maybe tie in this movie and the original and its symbolism to nuclear disaster.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be beautiful. You hear that, Takashi? Listen to us.
He's probably got a sequel in mind, if one was to approach him, because I know there's this weird relationship with Toho and I guess the American Paramount or Legendary, whoever's dealing with these Godzilla rights over here, where Japan wasn't allowed to make a Godzilla film for these last few years in between Shin and now because of the Legendary picture films. So we're having to share. There's some kind of weird agreement within the contract that makes sure a big time Godzilla doesn't come out on top of another big time Godzilla. Isn't that funny?
That's hilarious. Huh.
Which is going to be real rough for the next one, I bet, because if I had to guess, the next Godzilla and Friends film is not going to be even close as good as this. Like, it's probably going to be as good as the others, I would imagine, but...
Do you know what the next one is? Is it another Kong one?
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. Damn.
Because this one's making its rounds. This one's become mainstream. Shin Godzilla did not become mainstream.
This one's going to ruin the next movie for me.
Yeah.
God damn it.
To some degree. Because you might see Kong and Godzilla team up on some big baddie, like a tag team wrestling match or something, which you won't get out of the sequel of this.
That's true. That's true. Very true.
They should own the monster fighting thing.
They should.
They should run with it.
Yes.
And just totally forget the human element.
Yes. Give us maybe 5% human element if needed. And other than that, just, completely own the monsters. I don't know if this was just me, but Godzilla's roar, it was still cool, but it wasn't as percussion-y or eerie as the one in the original film, which I don't know how I felt about that.
Yeah, a lot of the Godzilla sounds almost sound like it's Godzilla from far away at all times. There's this weird, like, fleetingness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this one feels like it's a fucking car wreck of Godzilla. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it ends on that real famous Godzilla note. And I bet it just emphasizes the terror in it all. And that's what I was kind of saying was we go from a Godzilla normally to the type of Godzilla where we can't wait to see him and to cause his destruction or whatever, to one we almost want to look away from.
Yeah, I felt like this Godzilla's roar embraced more of the kind of dinosaur roar than his iconic roar.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not that it was bad, it was just, it was different. And, I mean, Godzilla's roar is one of the best things about him.
It's a trade secret, too.
Is
Nobody knows how it was made. Well, very few people know how it was made.
I thought it was a violin. And someone just running their hand across it. Is that lies?
That's a lie.
Dang, I believed it.
Because especially in the first film, you can definitely hear a door opening. I think you can hear a little bit of a brake screech too from a car. So I think there's several sounds involved, kind of, intermingling, converging with each other.
So it's not a trade secret, it's a secret recipe.
Yeah, it's a secret recipe.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. I thought it was a violin. Damn. They got me.
They got you. Definitely not a violin. There might be some violin in it, but what do you think of our setup for our main character cowarding at the tail end of World War II when he's supposed to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
That was an awesome setup. And not only is it awesome in the way that he didn't fulfill his duty, but this is a Japanese film, and he's a Japanese soldier, fighter, whatever you call them, and they value honor and integrity way more than anything else. So if you can understand that, at least understand that, it makes this setup so much more powerful and just kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, you can never see that motivation drive an American character.
No, never. An American character cowarding. All right, yeah, that's fine. We don't no one's judging you. Everyone still loves you.
Being kept up by dishonoring his country, that's not gonna happen in the United States.
No, that's almost typical.
Yeah, you're a hero here if you dishonor your country.
Yeah. But oh my god, I can't believe they ran with that.
Yeah, I like the whole honor system in a similar way that I like super religious people in movies, and that drive their whole being, so that it taps into something really near and dear to me in that way. I like seeing that a lot. I think there's not a lot more to humans than honor and loyalty.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most fundamental, facets to a love that kind of transcends family, Some kind of, not necessarily national pride, but something kind of akin to nationalism and kind of love for thy neighbor kind of thing without knowing them.
Yeah, I really like that they gave our character here this dilemma, and it's what he has to fight the rest of the movie. Not only the fact that he bailed on his mission. He wasn't supposed to live because he was a kamikaze pilot, but he also survived Godzilla's attack at that island where he happened to land because, quote unquote, something was wrong with his plane. And just the guilt that he has to live with both of those scenarios. And I say live with, but he's not really living with it. He's not living at all. He's just letting himself feel guilty, and it's just great. It's so sad. It's so fucking sad that they did this to him.
Yeah, it reminds me of a lot of Kobo Abe's work, where they are so torn apart by the specific trauma, whatever specific trauma you'd be talking about in a Kobo Abe book, but they forget, or I should say they kind of detach themselves from reality. And we have a couple moments of him thinking he's already dead, that he's been dead.
Yes. Oh my god, that's heartbreaking. And when he says it too, he's almost happy that he might be dead and he doesn't have to live with it anymore. And he deserved what he got, basically. Death. How are you going to give me this story plus Godzilla?
I don't know how that works. I really don't. And then one of my favorite scenes is actually is the intro part when they're on Oda Island, where our main character wakes up and sees the chief engineer guy stacking up and burying his other members, his comrades, and he starts yelling at him and everything, and it's just like, god damn, this is not your mama's Godzilla movie, This is something else. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was already locked and loaded to cry this whole movie from the get-go.
Yes.
That was probably one of the cheesiest parts, but almost, I don't know why, but I'll have to think about it a little bit more, but our main character requiring that engineer to be his engineer to, fix up this decommissioned plane or whatever, to outfit it with weapons or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably that's probably the cheesiest part of the whole movie, but it was just so earned on an unspeakable level, man.
It was so good because so he claims he's the best mechanic, but
we know why.
Yeah, we know why. Nothing in this film gave us he's the best mechanic vibes. Yeah. I mean, maybe he said it in the beginning, I'm not sure, but
I don't think so.
There's no tangible evidence here that he's the best mechanic.
It's just an excuse. Yeah.
We know why you want him, and the way he got him
It was
to
awesome.
come back was so awesome.
It was awesome.
And I don't know, that was probably one of my favorite reveals. Or I guess it wasn't a reveal, just I guess a little bit of a twist, maybe, I don't know, but that was awesome, telling him you're responsible for everyone's death. It was all your fault.
It's a big deal because slander is such a fucking major sin in Japan.
And he came to fucking defend himself and his honor.
It's awesome.
It was oh my god, it was so good.
It's like the finest cut of melodrama too, because he just wants to, or I should say not just, but he wants to prove to this guy and prove to himself. He needs this guy to prove to himself that he can do this. He's going to honor his duty. He's going to make up for what he's done. Like, it's just like, God, I don't.
Yeah, he brought him back just so he could say, here, hold my beer and watch me. Bring your honor back. Bring my honor back. Destroy Godzilla. It was good.
And then it's even crazier. It's so funny to say it out loud, really, but him outfitting the plane, the jet, with a ejectable seat. And it just, it makes it absolutely masterclass storytelling that the guy who, at the same time, the guy who shamed him at the very beginning, but also understood at the same time, at the very exact same moment at the very beginning of the movie, was like, I knew why you did it, remember?
Yeah.
He sets him up with an ejectable seat with a parachute on it, which wasn't normal, I guess, in Japan at the time. According to the movie, it's just like, how am I expected to go to sleep tonight? It's crazy. It's some of the best cinematic storytelling that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it makes me think about how I would feel if he wouldn't have saved himself, how that outcome would have moved me versus him choosing to live.
Yeah.
So I have to think about that, but I mean,
you wouldn't have been able to see the honor physically manifest right in front of him with everybody saluting him, you know?
I think there would have been some honor with him sacrificing himself too.
Well, that would be kind of contrary to why they set out to do their own mission to begin with, though.
Yeah, but he was doing it for himself, he was doing it for his kid, not for anybody else, really. Because he was waiting to see if he wasn't just choosing to sacrifice himself first. That wasn't his first plan. His first plan was hoping that their plan works. But if not, he was plan B. He was the fallback to sacrifice himself for his kid. So I think it could have worked too, but then we have the mechanic here who gave him that option. And I mean, yeah, you said it. It's so cheesy, but it's so fucking just humans looking out for humans valuing life and understanding that of course you want to live.
Yeah, that brings up my favorite scene in the movie, I think, when all of our retired vets, our people who left the military after World War II, I guess, kind of put an operation together. That whole scene of, let's do this not for a nation, not as a nation, but as a group of people who want to live kind of angle was awesome. Like,
yeah.
I've never seen rejecting a nation's ideals and motives and just the entire body for survival is awesome. And especially, I guess, on the backbone of Japan, where it's a very, I don't know, so-called traditionally minded people, especially at the time of post-World War II, and is kind of obsessed with still who they are, their tradition and honor, or I guess at least at the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Now we could probably argue otherwise.
Yeah, it's almost like that speech hasn't been given before in this situation in a Japanese film. You know, nothing's ever, let's save human lives. I like that. My favorite scene, I guess my favorite human interaction scene, is when his three comrades, the old guy, the young kid, and the other guy, I don't know their names, but they're at his house and they meet his kid for the first time, and they're telling them what a lovely, what a lovely house, what a lovely kid, what a
Yeah.
lovely wife. And then he's like, "That's not my wife." And then they're all like silent. They're like, "That's not even her kid." They're like, "Whose kid is it? What is going on here?" And he's like, "Nope." It was so sad because he, that's one of the moments where he obviously should make her his wife. They're already, basically married. They live in the same house, take care of the same kid, look out for each other, very fundamentals. But he's just so resistant on not letting himself be happy and just the not deserving this part. And this trio of men looking at him like he's crazy. And it was so funny. Definitely my favorite scene with the humans.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how strong their dynamic was, the four of them together.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. And right when I was starting to question the younger guy, like, what is his deal? When they walk away from him, you're just like, God damn, they're looking out for him as if he was a kid, like, because he is the kid of the bunch. He's the one who didn't get to join the military. He's the guy who has all these. He still has some ambitious life in him left, because he's a youngin and hasn't got to see the world for all what it is, and it breaks their heart just as much as it breaks his to want to be part of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, they're I can't believe they're immediately awesome when our main character meets those three.
Yeah, talk about just good vibes and good chemistry with the characters, or the actors themselves, not just the characters. And the performances here are amazing.
Yeah.
Even the little girl, I was very surprised how well they were able to capture the little girl's just reactions and emotions and then making them fit to the scene. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can't imagine how hard it is working with kids, especially that young.
What is she, like 2?
2, yeah, about. And I've met many 2-year-olds, and they don't listen. Terrible twos. They have that name for a reason. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see how you go about instructing a 2-year-old on what to do, and even then you can't. So it's all about just capturing at the right moment, because she cried.
Yeah, and she's a focus at a couple moments. It's just like, damn, because she's not just this character in someone's arms crying. She's like this. We're focused on her face.
Yes.
Like, whoa, that
was very impressive.
Yeah.
And she had a few lines. I mean, we saw it with subtitles, and you might surprise me, but I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what she said.
Of course, yeah.
But
that's why it almost kind of feels disingenuous to say how good the writing is. But the writing feels super tight.
Yeah.
But I don't speak Japanese, so I can't authentically say.
But I mean, just, I don't know, this 2-year-old blew me away too. And maybe some of our Japanese listeners can tell me how well she really said the things she said. But, that aside, everything else she did was freaking awesome. And I'm sure there's a little bit of the director here maybe finding clever ways to make her cry or be excited, or whatever. And I absolutely loved that he put the picture that she drew him in with the other.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, I can't. That was so fucking good and sweet. This movie is fucking amazing.
They do it in such clever ways too. It's so funny to not let you forget about that little packet of pictures.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was at first.
Yeah.
I thought it was money. The whole time I thought it was money. And when he said he needed a job, I was like, why don't you take that money that the other dude gave you? I don't know why I associated it with money, because what else would it be, until we see him open it. And it wasn't until towards the end I saw him open it. Because I saw the pictures, but he didn't undo the packaging and take a picture one by one. the first time we see the pictures, and we're not even sure what the pictures are of, or who those pictures are of.
Yeah, if this was an American movie, the lady would have been like, "Oh, what are those?"
Yeah.
Would have gotten a little bit of a. She would have got the story at least, and yeah.
Or she would have gone in there and looked through his stuff. But yeah, so that probably made it even more heartbreaking when I saw what they were. I was like, "Fuck, that's not money. That's worse."
It's even sadder, I guess, because they had the means probably to take a photo together, but there was just this rejection from him to identify an item like that, some kind of family collective. And so the daughter of all things forced that onto him through an image. So it makes, because that was after, I guess, his girlfriend, his female house companion lady, we think she dies, and so that makes that even harder. It's like, damn, the confirmation of you guys are a family happened post her death and through a drawing by your not child.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
so
that's good storytelling.
So good. I do have 3 favorite Godzilla moments, Godzilla scenes.
Is Godzilla a bully here?
Yes. That's probably one of my favorite scenes, is when he's walking down like this very empty, it's all empty patch of land except one house. So he has all this land to walk by and, get from point A to point B. But this motherfucker chooses to go and just destroy the one house that's there and step on it and everything in it. And that's how you know Godzilla is a fucking bully. That's one of my favorite scenes. They make him walk through the house.
I will say Godzilla, most of the Godzilla films tend to give him quite a bit of personality. It's really kind of surprising how much personality they manage to give a giant lizard that just destroys shit. And he does tend to always lean into the bulliness, and I guess here and there is this knight in shining armor for certain peoples, and it's awesome. I love his bulliness so much. It's just like, statistically, well, he's probably gonna walk in any other direction at this moment, but no, he walks right over your fucking house, right on top of your house.
Yeah, I mean, his skin must be really, really tough, but I'm not gonna risk hurting my foot if I could go over here. But no, if it's for the sake of destruction and destruction only, I'm gonna step on that house. I know that these humans are fearful, so I'm gonna go cause more fear.
It reminds me of like little kids who destroy sandcastles or anthills or whatever.
No, and oh my god, maybe I have way more than 3 favorite scenes, but when he grabs that giant ship and launches it at the other ship,
that was awesome.
That was awesome. He fucking just picked that up and swung it. That's how you know Godzilla is a fucking bully. That was so good. Oh my god. I mean, don't even get to all the destruction in the city and the train. No, He's just a fucking big ass bully, and I love it. I'm almost surprised there wasn't a close-up shot of him and him just kind of like smirking.
I mean, he always kind of looks like he's smirking anyways. He's got like a puffiness to his face that makes him look like he's smiling all the time. What about the chase scene when they're in the boat trying to put mines in his mouth? That was a pretty crazy scene.
That is a pretty crazy scene.
I actually couldn't believe how good that was. I was fully anticipating when they were on the hunt for Godzilla, basically, and they were trying to intersect with the story. That's when I thought things were gonna fall apart in some way. They still had me. They had me from the get-go, but I was still a little worried about this large animal being a human problem. He's not a human-sized problem. He's a worldly problem. So it's hard to make, a character story around that, obviously. If you watch Jaws, Jaws is a human-sized problem. He eats humans individually and tears down boats, and it's
massive boats.
Yeah, but he's he's a very believable problem.
Yes.
And I think Takashi was inspired by Jaws.
Okay. Oh, I can see.
And you can definitely see it because there's this element of Godzilla kind of hunting, but hunting like we do, not like animals do, having fun with hunting, because he's a dickhead.
Dick.
And so I couldn't believe how intense that scene was when they were being chased by Godzilla.
I'd forgotten all about that scene. That was awesome. And the way they blew him up and basically destroyed his jaw, and you were like, I mean, you feel bad for Godzilla then, but then he just fucking regenerates his skin, and then you stop feeling bad for Godzilla immediately and now feel bad for the characters because you're like, oh shit, how are they gonna get out of this one?
They make Godzilla scary.
Yes.
I don't know how. I mean, I see how they did it, but man, I don't know how one was like, we're gonna make Godzilla scary. It's like, that is a Godzilla of a fucking problem to try to tackle. Godzilla's not scary. Godzilla is someone we root for.
Yes. The scene when he's in the city and he destroys everything after our girl here pushes our main guy away and basically sacrifices herself. We have the scene of Godzilla and the camera's looking up at him, and then there's black rain falling. And I saw a lot of reviews about how this scene was a lot of people's favorite scene just because of how heartbreaking it was. But this was my favorite scene because of how fucking powerful Godzilla looked. He looked like a king with just black rain falling on him.
Yeah, he looked like he had the power of, Oppenheimer, but all the time. He didn't just have the one bomb or the handful of bombs. He just had a cooldown time, and the launch time to hit time to, like, when we hear it is just unfucking believable. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen as far as like action destructible kind of stuff on screen. It's so cool.
Yeah, it was kind of hard for me to be sad about the girl when here I am just in love with Godzilla's power, I guess. That's maybe the kaiju fanatic in me of how big he was.
This Godzilla could beat the shit out of our American Godzilla.
Yes, he could.
And he's probably a third of the size.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
His heat ray or whatever is fucking crazy. When they were trying to submerge him and bring him back up, we'll talk about that more in a minute, I'm sure. But I thought he was going to blast like the ground and the water to launch himself back up to prevent it from happening. Like, I thought that's where we were about to go. That's a little anime, probably.
Yes.
But instead we have this moment of, of course, humans working together. If humans can just work together, they can outsmart the biggest problems, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's obviously very cool. But
and since we're here, let's go ahead and talk about the end. I probably have said this, that something's my favorite scene, but this is really my favorite scene. When he crashes the plane into Godzilla's mouth and everything stops. The music, the what we're watching, everything, your heart, everything stops. And you don't know what's about to happen for a split second. You don't know if that's going to work. You don't know if our guy survived. I didn't know he survived. I completely thought he was sacrificing himself. I didn't see him surviving coming. Even though I kind of thought that guy, that's what he did. Because that's usually where the parachute thingy is to deploy yourself. But since I didn't see it happen before he launched in the mouth, I'm like, okay, he didn't use it. He's like, fuck that. I'm going to, commit to my suicide mission here. And oh my God, that was awesome. That was definitely my favorite part of the whole movie. And then I think I was already crying around this point. But then everything that happened after, like, I don't even know if I can talk about it. It was fucking just, it was the most emotional ending, the most crazy ending in a movie. From not only what happens to Godzilla, to what happens to our main guy, to what's going on with our other civilians. Oh my god, it was fucking amazing. To also finding out that the girl's alive, and then Godzilla might also be alive too. Jesus Christ, it was...
Yeah, him blowing his head off, and then I guess him basically overheating because there's no escape for the heat wave. It just disintegrates him and blasts out. Is visually the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And we have a little moment here from the original movie where no one's cheering at the end. They salute him. Which, how is that more powerful than someone getting a stand-in ovation? They managed to do it here.
And it's even better because these are all former military guys that would have expected you to do your duty at the time. These are the sticklers that if you don't, if you come back with a purple heart, you're a disgrace, in some way.
Yeah.
I think a purple heart's right. I think that's when you get discharged for.
I think so. Honorably.
Dishonorably discharged, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
But they're the exact guys saluting him, saluting the action, at the very least, whether he lived or not, didn't matter to them because he took one for the team.
Yes. Oh my god, that was so good.
Again, I love the civilians. Sort of, they're civilians, but they're like decommissioned former military guys, so they like know what's up.
Yeah.
They gotta be because they're driving these big boats, right, and everything. But I love them coming together and being like the military, the proper military and the government are too caught up in, political affairs, how they're going to communicate this around the world. And like, they want to get the U.S. involved, and the U.S. seems to want to get involved, but they're afraid of getting too close to Russia and stirring up some nonsense. And so there's just this fun background tension that I absolutely love because it almost is like, how, you can't have certain horror movies in modern times because of cell phones and things like that. It just kind of dilutes the emergency of it all.
Yeah.
And so, of course, this is set back, 80 years ago, but forcing the isolation with, onto these guys at the worst time possible, because they bring it up a couple times, but they bring it up especially towards the end where the U.S. can't, where the Soviet and U.S., relations are just especially tense. It's just, I love it. Yeah, I saw online people kind of commenting on that that particular angle is a little bit of a social commentary on the incompetency of politicians, but it doesn't go anywhere that it doesn't, there's no commenting, it's just, is it maybe a social comment on it? You know what I mean? Like there's nothing, there's no discussion happening there on the back end. It's just a platform to allow a group of people to come together to survive by all means necessary kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I was a little like,
Yeah, it's just a plot device to get the story moving. Yeah. Nothing to comment here. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were, 6 people at the movie theater when we went to watch it?
At the beginning, and and then a guy and his son left. So
yeah.
By the time we were done, there's 4 people in there,
Probably.
including us.
And at the end, everyone was sniffling. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they were.
I know. My chin was just drenched in tears.
Have you ever cried so much in a movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Oh, okay.
Have I ever cried so much at the movie theater? Probably no.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry in the comfort of my own home where I have tissues.
What is a movie that competes, at least in your mind's eye, at first glance up there, that competes with the cinematic experience, the movie-going experience for this?
I definitely think the Harry Potter films, especially maybe the last 2 or 3, I went to see those opening night with
all those people,
with the hardcore fans that are going to go see it opening night.
That was emotional for different reasons, wasn't it?
Definitely emotional. Oh my God. I
bet they gave you chills.
Yes, it was so awesome. I'm trying to think if there was anything else similar. Because I know I went to see some of the Twilight movies opening nights and some of the Hunger Game movies opening nights. but those were more going with friends that didn't want to go alone. Not because I was a fan, so it wasn't similar. But other than that, the Harry Potter movies just have a very soft
I can totally see that.
place in my heart. I also went to see the first Harry Potter movie at the Orpheum, and they had a live orchestra playing the music, playing the score of the first Harry Potter movie where it should go as the movie played. So it was pretty cool. That wasn't very emotional or anything, just a really cool cinema experience. But I mean, nothing beats people just crying.
Yeah, can you imagine a theater full of people at this Godzilla movie?
Oh my god, we would hear.
The sniffling would probably have become annoying. It would have been annoying.
Yeah, when, Dobby died, that's probably the worst one. When Dobby died in the movies. Just fucking
Spoilers, goddamn.
heartbreaking. No, if you didn't know that Dobby died by now, you're not even a fan, so shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree. I totally agree. Stop being so fucking sensitive.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that, but just the Harry Potter films stick out first.
I want to comment on our experience. There was a kid and his, I think dad, maybe older brother. I think dad though.
Yeah, I think
sitting
Dad
next to me, or sitting kind of close to me, and this kid was up and down going to the bathroom. I think his stomach was hurting or something. But after he had come back at some point, he started fucking sighing throughout the movie. And I don't know if it's because he couldn't read, he didn't want to read. His dad didn't realize it was Japanese or something. So there was a little miscommunication there. But this kid started sighing. He probably sighed 4, 5, 6 times, and I was about to clothesline him. So if you bring your kid to a movie and they're sighing, take them out.
Yes, which the dad did, right?
He
Eventually.
did. Well, he has to go. The kid asked to leave, so I respect that.
That sucks though. That maybe this dad is a fan of Godzilla, or the original, or whatever he's a fan of. Maybe he likes Japanese films, whatever, and he has to go because of his kid. Because his kid probably didn't want to read.
Maybe, yeah.
I bet you that was it. Teach your kids to read. Teach your kids it's okay to read subtitles.
Yeah.
To a really awesome film. Man, that's so sad.
Some of the best movies are in not English, or should not be watched dubbed, I guess. Too.
How dare you say that?
Some of the best movies are also in English though. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they left. I didn't notice the sighing. I did notice the kid getting up and leaving and coming back and leaving. It was making me kind of anxious, but it was also just a kid, so not enough to be super anxious. Like if an adult was doing that, I'd probably have major anxiety. Like, what is going on? What is he planning? Getting kind of paranoid.
He's setting the charge. He's gonna blow up the theater.
Yeah. But a little kid, not super anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
But that's so unfortunate.
What do you think of the neighbor? She became the neighbor, and then she kind of became the second mom to the kid. I liked her introduction, where she was, just fucking dying, where they had recently been raided by the United States. Yeah, like air raided by the United States, and her kids died, right?
Yes.
And then his parents were dead and stuff, and he's just like, in this trance of what the fuck do I do now? And then she's just hitting him. Yeah.
She's adding to his emotional turmoil.
Crazy.
I liked her a lot.
So crazy. She became awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that she became a mainstay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. If she was enough for him to leave his kid with, that was pretty good. Yeah. All the characters. I had no problem with any of the characters here.
Yeah, I liked every one of them.
Yeah.
I liked every dynamic. The only one I wish we maybe got more of was between the main character and his girl, but that's arguably essential to the film that we don't, because he was so detached.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you get that final kind of resignation in his mind when he gets that picture and puts it with the rest of the pictures, and then later when he gets the call and sees her at the hospital, you get like, okay, now he's ready, or at least now he's or now maybe they've shared a traumatic experience they can connect on, you know? Maybe that's what was missing.
Yeah, I love that when he found out she was alive, he didn't immediately go like what an American movie would do and immediately go up to her and kiss her or hug her or whatever. He just broke apart right in front of her. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm a big romance, love romance, but nothing like the melodrama of Japanese and even Korean. Korean is the one that speaks out to me the most, or sticks out to me the most. Their romance, their idea of romance. It's not more powerful, but it's just.
It is. It's way more powerful.
It's just so.
It maintains that tension. They don't ever let go of the tension of that relief. You know, there's no orgasms in Japanese or Korean films, and how they don't touch in the same way. The eye contact, the love of being with one another, and I don't know. There's like they capture appreciating each other way more than any American film. It's way better in Japanese and Korean stuff.
It's definitely different. I don't know about way better. I have my soft spot for some romance movies because I'm also Hispanic. And Hispanics like the opposite of what the Japanese and Koreans do. They're passionate up the wall.
Yeah.
So I love it all.
It's funny how that comes out in different ways across the world. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That was a good talk.
That was a great talk. Thank
you for watching this movie and talking about it today.
Thank you for taking me to go see this. It was an absolute surprise. First of all, I had no idea this movie was coming out at all. And second of all, I thought you were taking me to see the Leo Flowers Moon something movie, which I wasn't super excited about.
Yeah, that's not a theater movie.
Yeah, but definitely a big, awesome surprise for this one.
Cool. Well, man, do you have a budget guess for me?
I do. So we said that the first movie was about like 3-4 million, right? So I just multiplied that by 10 and added a little bit more because it's, what'd you say, 70 years later? So I went with 50 million because how can it not be? I wanted to guess a little bit more just how good Godzilla looked, but something told me that this Japanese movie, maybe they didn't spend as much as we would here for something this good.
That's true, yeah. That is very true. We spend way more money on movies than anywhere else in the world. Well, it says here that there's no conclusive budget.
Okay.
But we do know that it costs less than 15 million.
Less than 50 million?
Less than 15 million.
Less than 15 million? 1-5?
And the director, Takashi, said that he wished he had a budget of 15. So that indicates to me quite a bit less. Maybe in the tens.
Wow.
10 million? 11 million? Route. Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
I know we said there were no excuses in our previous episode from the original, but now there's really no excuse whatsoever.
This movie cost about twice the budget of the original.
Wow.
Of course, economic status and the situation of the world are different. So the exchange of money works a little differently, looks a little bit different, but there really is no fucking excuse for films today. And so far it's gone on to make about $64 million, so.
Good. And it didn't have a worldwide release? I know you said that there was a very limited release here in the U.S.
It was a limited release in the United States, and it's been extended a time or two now. So I'm not sure how long it'll end up being in the United States, and I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but it's already definitely making money, and seems to be only snowballing in that way by reception and, word of mouth. This is probably the third most talked about movie in the year, along with Oppenheimer and Barbie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to tell you the general consensus on Letterboxd, though, too. I want to try to remember to bring this up more often. It says it's a 4.2.
Wow.
And it's totally weighted at the top half.
Wow.
So it's actually
Good.
pretty incredible. There's no budging that number here. It's well deserved.
Yeah, it is very well deserved. I couldn't find any bad reviews, really. You said you found some bad reviews, but not well thought out bad reviews.
Yeah, they were your formulaic reviews, calling the movie formulaic. It's original. Yeah, and I get that, because that implies to me that it wasn't very engaging to you. Because it's a similar situation with video games where people like to say that they're repetitive. It's like, well, yeah, what you do moment to moment in a video game is extremely repetitive. I don't.
Yeah. You smash.
You shoot.
You
turn in missions.
Yep.
You go collect shit.
You fight boss.
You fight boss. And you get mad a few times and you kill him.
Yeah.
And then there's a handful of sports games in there that each have a similar kind of day in, day out thing. So it's not really, it's kind of lazy, I guess. It's lazy. It's not really criticism. It's just a lazy thought on it. And it feels like it's just because you don't get it, there's something wrong with it, you know?
Maybe they didn't like reading subtitles.
Yeah. And maybe just everything's not for everyone too.
Yeah,
so
that's also true. But no, very well deserved. Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
What would you give it on your letterbox?
I'd give it a 5. This is This is a 5.
Is this as good as RRR from last year?
Yes.
Is it better?
Possibly.
Okay.
I think it is.
I think it is too.
Because there are some things I didn't like about RRR.
I think this movie's much more on point. It has a much tighter focus, and so it's hard to say it's not better, because it knows exactly more of what it is, and it goes that extra mile.
Yep, for sure.
RRR is a little crazy.
Yes.
But it's awesome.
But it is still awesome.
So, yeah, I think I'd give it a 4.5. And like I've said before, I think that 5s don't happen naturally. You basically have to start at a 4.5 in my mind, and work your way up to a 5.
It's a 5.
So I'll update everyone when it enters the echelon of 5s.
All right.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. This is cool. I hope everyone goes and sees it.
Yeah, go see it. Go support this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go support this. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode. Hope you had a roar of a time.
I got nothing.
Remember, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmsteins over on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, all the goods. Remember to leave nice reviews, comments, suggestions, whatever, over on Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. And remember, you can write in over there.
You can
say anything you want.
Anything?
Yeah, I'm going to start collecting comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, and ideas over there, and read them here at the very end. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. And follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmsteins, signing off. That theme song. You got enough there. You're gonna get his copy.